Overwhelmed? That was me with diabetes. Hey, I'm Jabron. Between teaching and coaching, managing diabetes felt like an extra job. With the Freestyle Libre 3 CGM, I get real-time glucose readings and have the insights to make informed decisions. My life feels lighter now. Learn more at freestylelibre.us.
The views expressed should not be used for medical diagnosis or treatment as a substitute for professional medical advice. Individual circumstances may vary. For prescription only. Safety info found at freestylelibre.us.
Looking for music that lifts your spirit and fills your heart? Experience the powerful sound of the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square. Now streaming on all your favorite music platforms. Find the Tabernacle Choir on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Amazon Music, and Pandora. Let the music of the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square inspire you today and every day. Whether you're at home, in the car, or on the go, enjoy the beauty of their world-renowned sound anytime. The Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square, streaming now.
Accessing
the best radio in Utah is right here. This is Scotty G and the coach, Tim Lacombe, on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Scott Gerard, the coach, Tim Lacombe. Hope you're all having a tremendous day. Joining us now, actually, Coach, we'll have you go sit over here.
I know I look rough, but I'm not that bad, bro.
He is the new basketball coach at Utah State, Ben Jacobson. Not only basketball coach, not only a good dude, but a 5K runner as well. Coach, Cam Walker said you just destroyed that 5K like it was nothing.
Well, he didn't see me walking up the hill. You leave the parking lot and you get down to the corner where the gas station is and turn right. And it's fine, but then all of a sudden you're going up the hill to the corner, but then the hill gets steeper.
Oh, yeah.
Going back into campus. So I took my time at that part of the 5K. After that, I was fine.
That's just efficiency, Coach, which you're big on efficiency, so it would make sense. Total sense.
Yeah.
Hey, what's this summer been like for you?
Yeah, it's been really good. So we just finished 3 weeks of workouts with the guys. We got done this past Friday, and then we take the weekend off. We take the entire week of the 4th of July off. So the guys will be back now on Sunday, and we'll get about 3.5 weeks in July after we get back and start up on Monday. And most of the 3 weeks we get 8 hours a week. Half of that is strength and conditioning. The other half is basketball, a little bit of film, and we spent the majority of those hours in small groups. Working on ball handling and, the shooting, footwork, just a lot of the fundamental things. And we've typically done that. I've typically done that as a head coach, wanted to make sure that, that our foundation is in place, right? The fundamentals are in place. So, and then maybe in particular right now with, Will Hornseth being the only guy that I've coached, the opportunity to, Brown Roberts is out, so the other 12, the opportunity just to spend time with them. Right? And be with them on the floor and be with them in the workouts and just get a feel for where some of those things are at in terms of the ball handling, the shooting, the footwork. And now, and you guys know this, but I would tell you just being on the court, like coaching,
right,
and being in the gym, awesome.
Oh, it's where you want to be all the time,
just
right?
being around the guys, just terrific, okay? So whether we're in small group stuff or what I was getting to is after – when we get back and start up on Monday, we'll have 2 90-minute practices a week. We'll do it on Monday and Wednesday the first 2 weeks because we've got recruiting Thursday to Sunday those same 2 weeks, so a little bit of both going on. But so I'm really looking forward to the practice. It'll be the first time that we've gotten into some of the 5-on-5 stuff, and now you get into a little more of the up and down, a little more of the competition, start building some things. So looking forward to Monday.
Tell me about the meetings you had, the early meetings with particularly Mason and Carson. I know that was priority number one because you're a smart guy. Is you watch the film and you realize that's kind of the heart and soul of the team.
Yep.
And they're really vital to that. So just how did those meetings go? And you don't need to go into detail, but just in terms of generally how fast did it come along with those guys?
Yeah, for me, wanting them to as quickly as possible, just get enough of a feel for who I am and what I'm about. The number of changes that they have gone through with head coaches not, as we know, right? And
that's
everyone
crazy.
around Utah State knows. We all know, right? That's not normal, right? So, just wanted to be able to, sit in the office and talk and have them, ask questions and get as much as cover as much ground as possible in a short amount of time. And fortunately, we were able to do that. And I've talked about this, a couple different times. Because Utah State is, in terms of the basketball program, the athletic department, the support around both our campus, President Mortensen, Cam, his team, because of all of those things, in our student body, right, the herd and what it's like in the spectrum, the way in which the community, obviously Mason grew up here, Carson did not, but the way in which the community has embraced the two of them, that bought me some time, right? In the college landscape where we're at right now, you don't have any time.
They would have been gone.
You
probably in other
have
spots,
no
right?
time
Yeah.
if we're not at Utah State, and it doesn't mean that it doesn't mean as much as it does to both Mason and to Carson. If this place didn't mean this much to them, I don't have any time because they'd already been through the coaching changes, right? They're tired of it, right? So all of the credit, if you will, goes to what has happened before I got here. That gave me some time. That gave me a week. That gave me maybe 10 days for them to be like, hey, we love this place so much. We at least got to find out what coach is about. And if it works, man, because they both made it clear they wanted to stay, but they needed to know a little bit about me. So,
Yeah.
But it bought me time because of what's happened here at Utah State and the support that's here.
When Cam Walker let you know that he would love to chat with you about this job, and you saw the Pac-12 news, and you knew that this was going to be a conference that was going to involve Gonzaga, San Diego State, Boise State, Colorado State. I mean, you go down the list. These are teams that are currently having a lot of success or has had a lot of success in college basketball. How appealing was that to you in this process now that it's here?
Yeah, very, very appealing. And one of the main drivers, I would tell you, I think it's in all of us to find the highest level of competition, in whatever way, shape, or form. Right? There's periods of time in our lives where you've got some opportunities to say yes to a higher level of competition. Right? And this one was the right fit for me at the right time. But what a great league it's going to be! What a great basketball league it's going to be for us, and it's and I think it gets talked about a lot. They get asked, "Oh man, that's going to be challenging," and it is. It's going to be very challenging. But I've always looked at the other side of that as the opportunity. What does that mean for me as a head coach? What's it mean for Mason? What's it mean for Carson? For all of us, what's it mean for our team? And what's it mean for Utah State, athletic department, and as a university, right? The opportunity to crank it up and find the next level for what we're all capable of. Like that. That's what excites me the most about it is, there's more out there for us, and this forces you to think about it a little bit different when you're going into the league that we're going into. So, I love it.
You had a chance to visit much with Coach Mendenhall since being here?
Yeah, he and Coach and Holly were kind enough to come down during the interview process. Made the drive down to Salt Lake and had dinner, and that meant a lot to my wife, Dawn and I, to know that. And we hadn't met each other before. I didn't know a lot about him until I clicked on the page,
and this one,
and I'm like, oh yeah, that's who that guy is. And then I started reading. I'm like, oh wow, yeah. But immediately,
the scowl on the sideline.
It immediately made a lot of sense to me, and then the next thought you have is, wow, that he would take time to drive down. He's got plenty going on as a football coach. That he and Holly would both take the time to come down and see us. So it spoke to the support and the vision that our president and Cam and his team, when the head football coach is a part of that, that meant a lot to us. Yeah, and we were together in Salt Lake, kind of 10 days, 2 weeks ago at an event and had a chance to talk a little bit, but also, hear him converse or speak to the group that was there. And, what I have found out is that we were on a Zoom call together, kind of same situation, able to listen to him talk for 10, 12 minutes, and then with the group down in Salt Lake. And I'm going to take every opportunity I can get when he's talking. I'm not going to, go over to every practice, right? But any chance I get to, just to be around him and the way in which he sees things and the way in which he is with young people, his football players, but others, right? The way in which he approaches it is something that I'm looking forward to learning about and learning from.
Is that been interesting to you, the process? You were there a long time and did such a great job at Northern Iowa, but is there a kind of not a reinvigoration, because you're a guy that did everything, but just a way of seeing things different coming to a new spot?
Yeah, and there is the the last 2 years were really good for us at Northern Iowa, and very fortunate to have a number of highly competitive years and very good teams and a couple of great teams. Okay? And so it wasn't that had changed any, but it is different. When you're and I will say and I still do, and I said this to the group in Salt Lake. When you wake up here and you look out the window and there's that feeling of, is this real? Are we in a movie? Like, is this going to change tomorrow?
Look at that right there.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
So that by itself, you wake up and you're going immediately, and it gives you a little bit of shot in the arm. And then we talked about it with the Pac-12, but even I would say big picture for me as a head coach, and an opportunity to. Maybe I'm not going to say prove myself again, but maybe you can find the word for me. Right now, it's like, hey, we get to go do something that's a little bit different, and that part is exciting.
We have the tech to get food delivered in 15 minutes, but we all have horror stories about buying tickets. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage. Get amazing tickets in just a few taps. Fees are included, so what you see is what you pay. And the Game Time guarantee means authentic tickets at the best price every time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets to concerts, sports, comedy, and more with Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply.
Ben Jacobson, head coach of Utah State's men's basketball team. I know there's probably a lot of people who will come up to you at a gas station or whatever and say, what's this team going to look like next year? How much, though, of what you saw over the last few weeks and over the first couple of weeks in July when you get them back, how much does that determine in your evaluation of what we're good at, maybe what we're not good at, the scheme in which you'll implement and install before the season?
Yeah, that's going to be a big part of it. It always has for us in terms of, you've got most of it. Right, but then the last part is determined by what does your roster look like, right? And who is healthy and who is playing at the highest level, and okay, what's that going to mean? So that is a big component of it. But the thing that a couple of things that have struck me, and you guys would know this more than I would. I've got 3 months of it now with Mason. That guy likes winning.
Unreal, right?
I mean, it's
he'll do a lot to make sure his team wins. I mean, if he has to give up his body, how long am I out?
Yeah, I mean, and that's been a lot of fun to be around. Like when your best player is, and we've only done a little bit of 5-on-5, but we've done some down, back, and stop where we've kept score. It hasn't been for very long, so it's a limited number of possessions. But each time, so one group's got it on offense, and then we go down and play, we come back and play, right? So that team gets 2 offense, 1 defense, and then you just flip it. The other team gets 2 offense, 1 defense. It ends up being the equal, the same amount of possessions. But each time the teams would switch spots, he's looking at the score, then I can see his wheels turning. Okay, this is the score, there's so many possessions. He is in the best possible way. He's always trying to figure out, okay, what do we have to do to be successful? What do we have to do to win this thing right now? So, again, when your best player is wired that way, and then he's such a tremendous young guy. I've seen him. We had our little kids camp, and all of our players. Okay, but you see, and I've had a number of different people come to me and just talk about, hey, I ran into Mason, and he stood and talked to me for 5 minutes, and you guys know that about him. But it's been fun for me to be around and get to know Mason on that level. And then, Carson's diving on the floor, a week ago, 10 days ago. You're in the middle of June 20th or whatever the day is, and he's diving out of bounds for a loose ball. And Will Hornseth has come with, and I was around Will for a long time, but he's come with a lot a lot of energy and a lot of juice, and he's really sharp with his workouts, and a great example for our other big guys to see that. So Solomon Callahan's got a bounce in his step, and he's got a huge smile. He walks in the room, and you can't help but he puts a smile on your face. And Kingston and Bo, the guys that were a part of this as red shirts, like they're very competitive young guys. So I won't go through the entire roster of all 14 of them, but that would be the competitive spirit, the leadership, with Mason, Carson, Will Horn, Seth, a couple of the other guys. Those are the things that have struck me a little bit here early on.
What does the 5-for-5 change any of your thoughts on recruiting high school kids because you can throw them in the mix a little early? Does that change anything, or is it just beneficial to be able to really use guys immediately?
Yeah, we've talked about that quite a bit as a staff, and I've talked with some other coaches about it. Okay, how does this impact? How is it going to change the approach? And I don't know. Well, I do know. What I would tell you is we haven't come to an answer yet. The positive is, and you mentioned it. A young guy, instead of redshirting and you're not eligible, you could go in a game, but you're not going to if you're redshirting. You're not going to burn your year. Mm-hmm. How do you approach that now with some young guys that are not in the rotation, right? So, do you continue to treat it as a redshirt year where you're lifting 4 or 5 days a week and you're doing individual workouts? The bonus now is you can go into a game, right? Because that year is going to count regardless. So you can go into a game. And also, there's been times for all of us as coaches and with our programs where maybe you've got an injury at some point and you're like, man, I wish this freshman was available right now. That no longer is in the equation. That freshman is now available. Even if he wasn't playing, if he's not part of the 8 or 9 or 10 guys that are playing, and something would happen, whether it's performance or injury, right? That guy becomes available. So there's going to be a part of it where we've got to go through it the first time. Now, from a recruiting standpoint, we haven't made a decision to change our philosophy in terms of we're going to work hard to sign high school players in the fall. And right now, Mason and Connor Turnbull are the 2 players on our roster that are out of eligibility. So those would be the 2 scholarships that we know we can use in the fall. So and we're on to some guys, of course, right now. But if we're able to get 2 of these guys, we'll sign them in the fall, even with the 5-for-5 change, and that isn't going to impact what we want to do in the fall with high school players. And every opportunity I get, I'm gonna say it, guys. You're gonna hear me say it a lot. The state of Utah is going to be the backbone of what we're doing, right? And those players are going to know it, and the high school coaches and AAU coaches. And it obviously doesn't mean that all 15 of the players on our roster are going to be high school players from Utah, right? But we are going to work really hard with the best high school players in this state to get them here to Utah State and have that be a part of what we're doing.
You're sick like me, probably coaching-wise, but you've coached a million games. But when you think about it, you can remember a specific game, moments in games.
You remember some weird things, don't you, Tim?
In your head. I'm telling you. But, when I think of your teams, because I obviously watched y'all from a distance till we had to play, and we played over in Hawaii. You remember that game?
Yeah. Yep.
And I'll remember the very first play of the game. One of you guys came down, your big 4-man, reversed the ball and came down and just cracked one. I mean, I could hear the sound of the crack on the screen. And I remember the first time out, I met a half-dazed guy that ran into it, and I was grabbed 2 guys, said, communication is going to be really important tonight, boys. I said that. But just physicality is a hallmark of your teams. But talk about what we can expect when your teams take the floor.
Yeah, that being one half of the fast and physical is what we've talked a lot about with our teams, and the fast and physical together has been maybe a little more the last couple of years, but we've always wanted to be a physical team on both ends. Right? I've enjoyed. I love the preparation part of it, and I've spent a lot of time talking with our current team about their habits, their daily habits, and their routine, and how that impacts the way things are going to go. And the piece of it where, because once you get there, right, once you get into November, there's still a little bit of time. December, there's less in terms of the preparation and your fine-tuning and your foundation and your physicality. You don't want to be doing that in January. Like, we're not physical enough, or we don't block out well enough. Like, there's certain things you don't want to be trying to shore those up in January. And we want that to be a strength of ours, right? You want to get into some games in December and in January, and you feel like you're the more physical team, and you feel like you're the team doing some of the fundamental things better, that you're able to play fast in transition because your skill level is high and your guys have do a great job of sharing the basketball. And so those would be – I think those things are fun to watch. I know they're fun to play, right? We've got one of the best with the Spectrum, one of the best places to play in the country. We've got one of the top 5 student sections in the country. So I know they're going to show up. I know they're going to be behind our team. But I also know it's our responsibility, mine as a head coach, as a staff, and our players to be fun to watch. So when the game is over, our fans are leaving like, when do we play next? Okay, we get to come back in 3 days and we get to do this again. Like, I want our fans to feel that. And that's where fast, physical, sharing the basketball, those things come into play.
When Cam comes to you and says, hey, we're putting this Pac-12 conference tournament together, what do you think about double buys? Are you in favor of that?
I am. Interesting that the Missouri Valley Conference is just going to – it might be a single buy to get 1 and 2 into the semis. I don't know how it sets up there, but they're just going to it this year. One of those things that as a coach and as a head coach for 20 years in the Missouri Valley, I think myself and 3 or 4 other guys were talking about it for 10 years. And no. So they just go to it, which I'm glad they did. I think it fits best. But, yes, I have, following the West Coast Conference – and Gonzaga and St. Mary's in particular, right? They were 1 and 2, and they would get the buys most years, right?
We were always the afterthought, Coach. It's okay.
Yeah. Well,
It's hard when you're following those two teams.
Those two were pretty good. I know you guys were really good as well.
No, we were good, but, man, we were chasing two, almost like a ghost.
But I do feel like that is the way in which it should be set up. Okay? It does a couple things. It avoids a potential early game. If you're playing an early game, if you're the 1 or the 2, you're playing the 7 or the 8. Those are teams that are not going to get in that large bid. If you're 7th or 8th place out of 9, we have 9 teams in our league, right? The reality is, whatever the team is, are not getting in that large bid. And if for some reason those teams had a year where their numbers aren't great, and that's the team you have to play, there's no reason to play it. It's not going to help you. If you're the team that's first, second, hopefully as first and second in our league, you're already well into the tournament. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
But let's say the second place team is close to the bubble. You don't want to be playing the 7th or 8th place team. Okay? Yeah. So it takes that out of the equation. Okay? I think to me that's the most important thing because it's at the very end of the year, right? Everybody is watching. And yeah, you should win that game, and most times you're going to. But in a weird 40-minute deal, if that's the one, and it's like, okay, you're the last team out.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't play that game and you're bumped into the semis, the team you play in the semis, it could be that team, but more likely than not, it's going to be somebody else. It's going to be somebody that finished 3rd, 4th, 5th. And so that part of the equation I've always thought was important.
Well, Coach, we appreciate it. Thanks for coming by. Big day here at the university. First day of the Pac-12. Can't wait to get things started. I know you want time to get your team ready, but I know there's a lot of people around here that are ready for basketball season to start, like, right now.
Hey, I'm with them. I can't wait to get in the Spectrum as our head coach and with the group that I'm spending time with right now.
I love it.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Coach. That's Ben Jacobson, new coach at Utah State. Bronco Mendenhall joins us next right here on The Zone.